Hi, guys, and welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. Today, we have another great show for you. We have Anthony Token Squid Price with us. Welcome to Keep Hope Alive. So,
To be here.
we are going to learn all about your journeys. And when I say journey, it's a real big journey, and you're helping so many people. And it's just amazing what you do. So, but before we dive into that, I want to ask you a quick question, kind of off of the grid, which is always fun. In the
They're my favorite
past,
kind.
in the past 15 years, how many weddings have you actually been to?
Weddings in 15 years. Well, first of all,
Yes.
I got to remember who was president 15 years ago.
I don't even
Um,
know.
that's my kind of my rule of thumb on how I get to a place is, all right, who was president? Because that helps me remember the other events in my life. I think I've probably been to about a half a dozen weddings in
Okay.
15 years. No more than 10.
Okay. Gotcha. So no more
So,
than 10. That's
handful,
a good number.
just a
So
handful.
one of our biggest sponsors, their name is Life on Record, and their website is lifeonrecord.com. So usually when you go into a ceremony of a wedding, you have to sign this. What is it called? What are people signing?
Guest book. The guest book.
Yay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Five
you
points
got
for the
it. You got
five
it.
points for the studio guest. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but instead of that guest book, what they do is replace it with a vintage rotary phone. So the guests can come up and pick up the phone and leave their messages of congratulations to you guys. Have a happy marriage and
So you pick
what
up a rotary
there's
phone and you dial in and you leave a congratulatory message on a voicemail, sort of a thing.
kind of thing. Yeah, definitely. So it's
Well, that sounds really
recording and
cool.
stuff. And right next to that phone, they'll have a QR code. So people can, pull out their cell phone, scan it, so they can leave their message either before or after the ceremony. And once all of those voice recordings get taped and ready to go, they will burn it on a 10-inch vinyl record, or they
Oh,
have
wow.
this cute little boombox.
That's
So
pretty
you can
awesome.
I love the gift of hearing somebody's voice. It's amazing. And that's what they do with Life on Record. So their plans only start at $99. You get that phone number for 1 year. So I tell people, like, right before the 1 year, call back and leave more messages and say, it's almost your 1 year anniversary. We just wanted to say congratulations. We remember your wedding day. But not only for weddings, you could do this for corporate events, birthday
Birthday party.
parties. Yeah, I've talked about this with funerals too. I mean, there's so much you can use this for, but check them out at www.lifeonrecord.com.
And at $99
So,
a year, at $99 a year, the first year only costs you 30 cents a day.
well, you get it for a year. So
I,
really,
but I spill that much. You know what I mean? I spill just before we started talking. 30 cents a day is like nothing, unless I'm doing the math wrong, which wouldn't be the first time. But it seems to me that $99 a day divided by 360 days is somewhere in the neighborhood of $30, 30 cents a day, right?
well, it's 99 for the year.
A
Did I
little bit
say day?
less. Yeah, you said
Yeah.
$99 for the year. And I broke it down to the ridiculous. It's a little bit less than 30 cents a day. It's about 29 cents a day.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not
Or
that
20,
bad at all. It's
yeah,
actually really cool. And they have the beautiful, I love vintage phones. I love the way they look and
yeah.
everything. I'm trying to get one here so I can actually pick it up. But right now I got my hand phone. Hello. So,
Yeah, you should have
but
a
yeah, definitely, definitely. So, going over your profile, I love your name they gave you, Token Squid.
that comes
Tell
with
us
a story
about how you
too.
got that.
Do you want to start with that story? Okay, great.
Yes,
Here's
I want to
the
start with
deal.
that story because I'm very picky. I gotta know.
Here's the
I got
deal.
water today, everybody.
Here's the deal is I'm a Navy veteran. I'm a United States Navy veteran, disabled Navy vet. My ribbons are from the Gulf War or the Desert Storm. So a long time ago, long time ago. Anyway, a friend of mine, Lieutenant Colonel Bob Stephenson, retired United States Marine Corps, was a helicopter pilot, and as he was apparently he was a really good helicopter pilot. Anyway, he decided he wanted to host a Marine birthday party every year. So every year on November 10th, because that's the Marines' birthday party, they
Mhm.
get together in a bar because I don't know if you know this or not. The Marines actually started in a bar. It's 10 guys getting drunk saying, all right, let's go beat the crap out of those British guys. So November 10th, 1775, 10 guys got drunk in a bar and started the United States Marine Corps. Um,
Nice.
that's that's a true story. So anyway, their birthday party, see, he throws a casual birthday party. No uniforms are required, and he brings in a cake, and he does cut it with his sword, which is part of the uniform, of the officer's uniform. Um, anyway, about 6 years ago or so, yeah, it was actually right at the very beginning of the Gold Star Ride Foundation. Uh, he called in the local radio station. I'm in the Minneapolis market, so he called a radio station in Minneapolis for the morning. So it was really, really busy, and he somehow got them to take his call. Well, first of all, he didn't get a busy signal, and second, they put him on the air. So he's having a conversation with the main disc jockey. So his name is Bob. The disc jockey's name is Tom, right? So they're having a
Mhm.
conversation on November 10th about 2018, 2017. Um, and Bob says to Tom, well, we're going to have everybody's welcome. We're going to have a Marine birthday party tonight, rain or shine, heat or cold, whatever it was. And I think the temperature outside that day was minus 20. But so they,
I'm
he
like,
said,
no, no cold.
well, Tom, he says, Tom, you know Tony Price, don't you? And Tom says, well, yeah, I know Tony Price. We've had him on the air. He's talked about the Gold Star Ride Foundation. So, yeah, I know Tony. We've known each other for a while. And Bob says, Tony's going to be there. He's our token squid. Okay, so
Ah.
it gets a little bit more in depth because out of some rare set of circumstances, I was listening. And I had both of their phone numbers, their personal cell phone numbers. I quick pulled out my phone and I sent a message to Tom, the DJ. And I said, oh, great. Now I've been reduced to the token squid. And Tom read the text message on the air to Bob.
Oh.
So that's how I became the token squid. See, I'm the only Navy guy who shows up at the Marine birthday party. And if you go to our website, go to the Gold Star Ride website, you can see some videos of what happens at the Marine birthday party. And it's just a blast. And they don't care if you're actually a Marine or not. But the camaraderie that you're going to witness, if you go to a Marine party, any party, but the birthday party in particular, if you go to any party, you're going to just be blown away by the way these people talk to each other. And I mean each other. Every person walked through the door. I was standing there early on. I was one of the first or second people there. And I'm watching people come in the door. And people walk in the door. And the first thing they say is they stick their hand out to whoever and everyone. And they say, hi, I'm Bob. Who are you? Oh, really? Great. It's great to see you at Marine birthday party. And they go down the line and everybody meets everybody. Everybody meets everybody. Everybody stands outside in the freezing cold and smokes cigars. Everybody is drinking together. Everybody is, and then they sing the Marine song.
That sounds fun though.
Not a good singer in the bunch, but I tell you the thing is, they say once a Marine, always a Marine, and
Hmm.
I believe that's completely true. You don't stop being a Marine, you just stop serving. So you're no longer active duty Marine, but you're still a Marine, and that's the only branch of service that does that. And the instant friendship and the level of instant friendship, the level of friendship that exists between these guys that I'm watching them meet for the very first time. They've never seen each other before, but
Hmm.
they shake hands and you just know either one of these guys will lay down his life for the other one. Either and you just see it, and it's in a bar. It's just great. It's you wish the whole world could be like that. And that's
I
why
do. For me, I do.
I haven't missed that party in 11 years. I always go to Bob's party. He's done it for 18 years. I haven't missed it for the last 11. And I was just at it
Good,
a
good.
month ago. So, and yeah, I highly recommend it to everybody because you got to see that. I can't explain it. I tried to explain it, and you might have a little bit of an idea of what I'm talking about. But until you breathe it, until you feel it through your pores, it doesn't make any sense. It's just amazing. And like I said, it would be so wonderful if the whole world could be like that. And as a coincidence, my work for the Gold Star Ride Foundation has turned it into, it is like that. The world is like that. If you put the right presentation forward. Yesterday, not earlier, I'm not making this up, really happened yesterday. The Gold Star Ride Foundation had a recreational vehicle donated to us about 6 years ago. About 2.5 years ago, the engine went out. So we needed a new engine. It took us a long time to figure it all out. But finally, the guy says, your RV is done, got a new engine in it, ready for you to go. And I go to pick it up yesterday. And I get in the RV. We settle up, there's some paperwork here, there, signatures, all that stuff. I get in it, start it up, I drive it down the road. I make it 30 miles down the road and it dies. Just never mind why it died. It's dead on the side of, it's not on the side of the road because I realized I had a significant problem and I needed to turn around and take it back. So I got in the left, I was on 2 lanes going each way, and there was a left
Uh-huh.
turn lane that I could use to do a U-turn to head back to where I came from. And that's where I was, right in the middle of that turn when it died and there was nothing left. So I was off the road, kind of, sort of. I was in between the road is what I was. And here I am, and I'm going, what the hell am I going to do? I've got an 18,000 pound, 38-foot RV that doesn't work. It's not like I can get 3 guys to push it off the side of the road. That ain't going to
Yeah.
happen. And where I was about to turn left and go the other way, it was the beginning of rush hour traffic. It was about 3:15 in the afternoon. And there were 2 lanes of solid bumper to bumper cars forever. So I'm like,
Oh, wow.
okay, I gotta wait for a break in this traffic. They're all going 60 miles an hour. I gotta wait for a break. This ain't gonna happen. I'm stuck. I'm really in a bad way. And
Mm-hmm.
within 2 minutes, truck pulls up. Guy jumps out. He says, we need to get you out of here. Yeah, I do. He says, can I hook a chain up? I said, you betcha. Hooked the chain up, hooked it onto his truck. And as soon as he got that done, there was a break in the traffic. We pulled the truck out and he pulled me 35 miles back. I didn't even know the guy's name. I didn't even know his name. And he pulled me 35 miles back to the repair shop. And I didn't have his name. I didn't have his phone number. We couldn't talk to each other. I'm steering the RV. I'm steering a 38-foot, 18,000 pound rig with no power steering and no power brakes because it won't run. And the only thing
Yeah.
separating me from the truck in front is a 10-foot piece of chain. So if we have to stop, I have to stop him. He can't stop me because if he stops ahead of me, I smash into him. So I can't do that. I mean, these are, and we're down the road we go. And we got
Oh,
there. And we got there and we pulled in and I get out and I walked up to him and I said, I'm so embarrassed. I don't have any cash in my pocket. Can I Venmo you? Can I Cash App you? Can I PayPal you? Can I do something else? He says, no, man, I saw the stickers on the side of your RV. You're helping fallen heroes families. I said, yeah, we're helping fallen heroes families, Gold Star Ride Foundation.
yeah.
I said, I'm retired military. You ain't going to give me nothing. See that guy sitting in my truck? He's happy to wait for me to finish pulling you back here because he's a retired military also.
Oh,
It
that's
was only at
awesome.
that, it was only at that time that I got to say, what's your name?
Yeah.
And he told me his name was Joe. And I told him to call me.
Joe, imagine that. I
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So the same kind of thing that happens at the Marine birthday party can happen in real life. And now this is a breakdown of the recreational vehicle. But I ride motorcycles all over the country. Motorcycles break down all the time. I've
Mm-hmm.
almost got one of these exact same type of stories for every state in the union.
Oh,
I'm missing, but I got them for, just off top of my head. I know I got them in Pennsylvania. I know I got them in West Virginia. I got them in Alabama. I got them in Florida. I got them in, I have them in Texas. I have them in Montana. Um, I have them in Minnesota. We put a lot of miles on in Minnesota. I've got them in Montana. I
yeah.
mentioned that. Um, I've got them in New York. Uh, and this is just I don't have any crib sheet here. I'm not, it's not like I'm reading from my notes. I'm just making this up as, but I've got these kinds of stories. I've got so many of these kinds of stories. There's a book.
Yay! Imagine. I love
I
it. And we're
probably
gonna put that book on the website too.
what's this thing about meeting the author? Um,
Yes.
anyway, yeah, there's a book. This book is about the first year of my writing. So I did
Okay.
I'll plug the book real quick. Um, in 2018, I did my
Hmm.
first I did my first ever ride. And in 2018, I rode just shy of 18,000 miles. I made it to 44 states. I met with 64 Gold Star families around the country. And it came with the number of stories there is there's way too many
You
of them.
need to explain what a Gold Star family is really quick.
I'm coming to that.
Oh, sorry.
First, first I have to say after 2 months when on that ride in 2018, I
Yeah.
av I averaged 307 miles a day, 7 days a week for 8 solid weeks. That's what I did for 8 straight weeks. So when I got all done, I had to make sure my wife still loved me, and that process took a month. And then she finally let me in the house, and then I sat down and wrote the book. So what's a Gold Star family? A Gold Star family is those are the immediate family members of anybody killed in the military. Okay. So
Gotcha. Okay.
like you asked me earlier how many weddings I've been to in the last 15 years. Ask me how many
Hmm.
funerals. About 540 funerals in the last 5 years.
Oh, wow.
I'll share this with because I think of it as going to a funeral every time I go meet a family. Because, well, first of all, I don't have any idea who they are. Well, that's not completely true. We get to know each other through email and a handful of text messages and voicemails before we meet in person. But when we meet in person, what we're doing there is remembering somebody who's in the ground. No other way to put it. We're there. Here, I'm a stranger. I'm walking up to you. I'm going into your house. I'm meeting you at a restaurant. I'm meeting you at a military memorial, or I'm meeting you in a park or a parking
Hmm.
lot. I've actually met people in parking lots. Um, I've met people in campgrounds. I've met people all over the place. Anyway, I'm going to go meet them for the very first time. And the mission of the meeting is to remember somebody whose funeral has already passed. So I often lovingly refer to it as going to a funeral because
Yeah.
I, as of today, I have never met with one of these families when we were not shedding tears, when we did not cry. And that's me as much as them, which is why I'm such a smartass when I tell the stories, because we have to have, I personally have to have not only a sense of humor, but I got to have a wild sense of humor. I got to laugh at all kinds of stuff because if I'm not, I'm in the nut
Hmm.
house because of depression. And there were times, and there's a story about it in the book. There's there were times when in early part of 2018, when we first started getting rolling with the Gold Star Ride Foundation, I
Hmm.
put the word out. We built the website. We put the word out. We're starting to tell people on Facebook that we're going to ride motorcycles to go see Gold Star families, and the emails start coming in. Rule number one, by the way, is our organization, the Gold Star Ride Foundation, never makes first contact. We're never going to call somebody up and say, "Oh yeah, I heard somebody died in your family." That's just not
Yeah.
going to happen. We're not going there, and so they always have to make the first contact. And what happened
Okay.
in the spring of 2018, late winter, February, March, April, 2018, as the emails started coming in, because we're about to go on our first ride, and it's a national ride. We're going all over the country. And we're going to be gone for 2 months. And this is the way that we're promoting this. And the emails started coming in, and phone calls started coming in. And day after day after day, I was talking to two or three, or sometimes four or five people who said, "Let me tell you about my brother who was killed. Let me tell you about my dad who died. Let me tell you about my son. Let me tell you about whatever the thing was." And it was so overwhelming for me personally because every one of those phone calls was taken
Yeah.
by me. I took every one of them. This wonderful Gold Star Ride Foundation, Which hand is it?
This one.
Gold Star. There we go. Took a little while. The Gold Star Ride Foundation is a wonderful organization, and we work nationally and we take care of these families. But we are made up of 3 board members.
Hmm.
And one of the other one rides with me about once a year. But in the last 5 years now, I've completed 52 motorcycle rides around the country in 5 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
we had a personal goal set for ourselves at our 5-year anniversary. We wanted to have 50 rides and 500 families in 5 years. We something about the number 5s, right? So we wanted to stretch it out 550, 500. Anyway, we missed it. We ended up with, did I just say, how many rides did I just say I've completed?
550, 500.
No, 50.
Just
I think I
repeating the
said
numbers.
52. I think I said 52, but I
52.
meant 53. So, because I just had one 2 weeks ago in Florida. I went down to Florida and took care of some families down there. And
Hmm.
missed the 500 families by 2. So we had 498 Gold Star families.
Hmm.
That's that's not completely true either. The 5-year anniversary, we only had 496 or 495. I met some more in October on our 52nd ride. 53rd ride was in December, which pushed us the 53rd ride
Hmm.
pushed us to 499 Gold Star family. So a week from today, because this is going out today, right? You said we're going to broadcast today.
Yeah, definitely. That is my
Okay.
motto. I do
I
my
know,
best
for all I know, there's
after
something
the
listening
shows.
right now. So here you go. 1 week from today, on January 6th, 2024, I will meet family number 500. And
Wow.
this is the reason why that one is so special. She also has the fortune of being the oldest Gold Star mother in the country, possibly in history. We're celebrating her 105th birthday next Saturday.
Whoa.
Everybody's invited. Everybody could come. Just come on. But you're in Texas. You might want to fly in because this thing is going to
I'll
take.
zoom you. I'll zoom you.
Uh, I don't know if we'd have to recruit somebody to come in because I'm one of the speakers and I'm one of the presenters, and I'm going to eat cake. I'm
Well,
actually.
I'm a photographer, so if you need a photographer to travel with you and get good pictures of these events, I can do
Well, we can talk about that. Uh,
that.
I never close the door to anything because I never know what I'm closing the door to. But anyway, that's a week from Saturday. The 500th Gold Star family in less than 6 years. It's more than 5, but it's less than 6 years. The number 500 Gold Star family is the oldest, and we're celebrating her 105th.
Happy birthday if you get to watch this. Yes,
Oh
what
yeah,
an
well, she's
accomplishment.
she lives a little bit out of town. They're doing it in town. They're doing it at a high school gymnasium because I think we're anticipating between 150 and 300 people who
Oh,
are going to just,
wow.
and yeah, it should be a big deal. Anyway, she's getting a police escort from the edge of town. She lives just outside of town. They're bringing her in a limo. So she gets a limo ride. That's going to be really cool. But then she gets a police escort coming in, and me and the motorcycles, even though it's only going to be 30 degrees that day, me and the motorcycles are going to join in and become part of that procession coming into town.
Oh,
So
wow.
and I'm going to be riding that red, white, and blue motorcycle. Wait, did I say that?
Not yet. You need to tell that story.
I need to tell that story too. Did you have any questions you want to ask me, or should I just dive right into it?
You're gonna dive. You're just like, I mean,
Oh,
everybody's like,
well,
what's the red and white and blue motorcycle now?
well, I was a sailor. Dive is a submarine thing. It's a submarine
A
command.
submarine thing.
Well, I never served on submarines. And whenever I meet somebody who did, I say, "Oh yeah, 100 men go down and 50 couples come up." That's only funny if you're a sailor and you say that to a sailor. You do the
Well,
average.
I'm sorry. I'm a relationship coach and a certified wedding planner.
Yeah, you're a civilian. Or did you spend
Mm,
any time in the service in the military?
no, no, my dad did.
Okay. You know what your dad
So,
wants for his next birthday? And you see the
okay.
stats right there? My DD 214 can kick your MBA's ass.
I love that.
You buy them on our
I'm like,
website. You buy them on our website, goldstarride.org,
okay.
for $10. But you know, you got it. And your dad wants one for either his birthday or when did your dad serve?
Oh my gosh. Well, he just turned 78. He was so young in his 20s.
78. He
It was Vietnam.
must have been a Vietnam guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and I know he was
we can talk
exposed to
about that
Agent
too.
Orange.
Of course he was. He was a Vietnam guy. There was
Yeah.
escaping that. Even if you didn't serve over there. And you know, this is kind of a weird one. I doubt that there's any guys who served um in the military in the early 60s who are watching your podcast. But if they are, you know, if you served in 1961 or 1962, Agent Orange was tested in Puerto Rico. So that means even if you didn't go to Vietnam, even if you served in the Atlantic, anywhere in the Atlantic, if you're stationed in Florida or you're stationed in, well, I don't know what was going on in Cuba then, but the Panama Canal was a big deal. And there was a lot of stuff going. If you served in the Panama Canal in 1962, you're exposed to Agent Orange. If you served in Puerto Rico in 1960, you were exposed to Agent Orange. So, believe it or not, there's a lot of Vietnam guys that did that that don't know that they were exposed to Agent Orange because that's where they tested it. So that's where
Yeah.
everybody was exposed to it. And
Oh
they made
no.
that I think they ruled in something like 1984 or 1983. Anyway, it was in the 80s, mid 80s, that
Hmm.
uh, if you served in Vietnam, um, you're automatically connected to Agent Orange issues. Just like currently, if you served in Camp Lejeune, if you're a Marine who served in Camp Lejeune, you're automatically assumed to have health issues because of the water that was there. And the water issues in Camp Lejeune were from like 1965 to 2015. I mean, it
Oh
was
wow.
ridiculous. What happened in Camp Lejeune was really, really asinine and ridiculous. But anyway, you're just in, right? Which is why you see
Hmm.
so many commercials now from all these lawyers that say, "Did you serve in Camp Lejeune? Call our office because we want
Yeah.
30% of your money." That's basically what it amounts to because we want 30% of your money. Anyway, we digress. Um, so your dad who served in Vietnam, first of all, when the next time you see him, as a matter of fact, as soon as you're done talking to me, you call him on the phone and you say to him, Token Squid said to tell you, welcome home. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll
Okay.
send him the link to this and make him watch it.
No. You can do that too, but you have to call him and tell him. Okay. Token Squid
Okay.
said, welcome home.
Welcome
Has to be
home.
exactly those words, welcome home. And then for his birthday or Father's Day, you're going to have to go on our website and get him a patch.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
he'll love that patch. Even, you know, I've talked to a bunch of guys who have MBAs. I've got a college degree myself. And people with MBAs say, well, I have an MBA. And I say, do you have a DD 214? Well, yeah, but I have an MBA. And I say, okay, great. You can wear the patch and tell people you can kick your own ass. Um, anyway, here's the dealio with the red, white, and blue bike. You get to have the whole story. I don't know how much time do we got? When did we
Oh, we
start?
got plenty of
I'm not
time.
saying I'm talking, you take care of time, okay? That's the way we're going to work this out. So
Yeah, definitely.
early in 2023, I was on, I believe it was ride number 44, 45. Anyway, the ride number doesn't matter much. I wanted to do a publicity stunt because I know that the work that I do is important work, and I know it because I meet the families, and I know
Hmm.
what they're like when I'm gone, and I know what kind of changes take place, even if they only take place for that moment. They are positive changes for that moment, and for that reason, I got to keep doing the things that I do, and we'll get more and more into that as we talk. But so I wanted to do a publicity stunt so that you civilians would find it interesting, at least vaguely interesting, the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So there is an organization called, I'm sorry, I've got to stand up a little bit for this. There's an organization called the Iron Butt Association.
Wait, what is it called?
It's called the Iron Butt Association. And the Iron Butt Association, those are two patches from the Iron Butt Association. The Iron
Okay.
Butt Association, it's this weird little group that monitors distance rides, and they give people patches when they make distance rides. So one of those
Yeah.
patches was because I rode 1,014 miles in 21 hours. The
Dang.
other one is because I rode 1,600 miles in 34 hours. Actually, the where they draw the line is 1,000 miles in 24 hours for the first one, which is called a saddle
Yeah.
sore. And then the other one, I forget what it's called, but it's 1,500 miles in 36 hours. So
Wow.
the Iron Butt Association gives out these patches. And I woke up one day and said, I got an idea. I'm going to get a patch. What am I going to get a patch for? I'm going to get a patch for going coast to coast, Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean in 50 hours. 50. Okay. The shortest
Mm-hmm.
distance, shortest route across the country is 2,800 miles. 2,008.
Okay.
You're going to go 2,800 miles in 50 hours. That's 2 days. 2 days and two
Yeah.
hours. Anyway, I decide I'm going to get one of these. And when I get where I'm going, I started at the Atlantic Ocean in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And I'm riding all the way across to San Diego to dip my toe in the Pacific Ocean, which I did, but I ran into some hiccups along the way. So the idea was go there and make the news because I made this incredible ride, and I'm doing it for Gold Star Ride Foundation, and I'm doing it for Gold Star Families. So you put those things together, and hey, I should have made the news in San Diego. Well, I didn't make the 50. I didn't make the coast to coast in 50. What happened was I ran into a haboob. You know what a haboob is? You should,
No.
'cause you live in Texas. A haboob is I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. But a haboob is a sandstorm, a massive, massive sandstorm. So when I was riding across Texas,
Yeah.
uh, I hit a haboob 40 miles east of Van Horn. You know where Van
Oh
Horn is?
boy.
Van Horn
I've
is,
heard of it. Yeah.
it's a little town, little teeny tiny town, but it's about 100 miles east of El Paso, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I hit the boob and I rode in. The sandstorm was such a sandstorm that it blocked out the sun completely. I was riding in the dark because there was so much sand blowing through the air. And I'm riding through this and I'm going, crap, I can only see on the highway. I can only see
Mm-hmm.
three stripes, three of those little dash stripes. That's all the farther I can see. And then it's sand. And I'm going 65 and 70 miles an hour on the freeway. And I'm going, okay, if somebody decides to stop in front of me, I'm going through their rear window.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, so I stop in Van Horn at a gas station. I needed gas anyway at that point. And there was so much sand on my motorcycle. There was so much sand and dust on my motorcycle. I wrote my
Yeah.
name in the windshield. And there's a video of this. If you, again, go look up our video exploits,
Yeah.
video of me write my name in the sand. Anyway, I asked a couple people that were going the other way because you're at a gas station, right? You got people going both directions. So I asked people who
Mm-hmm.
were eastbound, and I said, "How far west is this sandstorm?" And three people came up to me, and three different people at three different times they came up to me. All three of them said, "I think it starts in Phoenix. I've been riding in it since Tulsa, or not Tulsa. What's the not Tombstone? What's the other city in Arizona? Why am I drawing a blank?
Oh, not Mesa. Not was it? There's a
No,
Mesa, Arizona.
it's not. Well, Mesa is part of Phoenix and Scottsdale and stuff. So that's a big, and then just
Mm-hmm.
south and east of there, I can't remember. I can't remember.
I don't know.
Blank. See, I told you folks, I'm not working with notes. Anyway, whatever that town is, I'm not going to look it up right now. But anyway, that's how far they said it was. And I mean, let's think about this for just a minute. Okay, that's 400 miles
Yeah.
on a motorcycle. That's 3 tanks of gas. That's stopping for gas 3 more times. And I'm thinking, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. Anyway, so I checked into a hotel and we waited for the haboob to dissipate. And that's when I found out that I rode 1,600 miles in
Mhm.
32 hours. So I got the other one. And it made me feel better. Well, at least I'm gonna get a patch out of the deal. Anyway, the haboob died down the next day and we started seeing families. Instead of going all the way to San Diego and then seeing families on the way back, we immediately started seeing families. So I started with the family in El Paso, and then I went on to another family. I visited with a family in Van Horn too, and another one, and another one, another one, all the way to the. Anyhow, I'm coming back, and there was a breakdown. Can't wait to tell you that story because that one's the one that's going to cream your coffee. It's going to build, yeah. Anyway, I come back to Lubbock, go see a family there. I'm riding across. I stop in someplace west of Oklahoma City, then Tulsa, and then I come down to go through Texas. Now I've been doing this ride for 9 days, right? Started
Okay.
in Jackson, Florida, all the way to San Diego. Now I'm on my way back. I just crossed Oklahoma. Now I'm coming down right through the center of Texas. I've already done Lubbock and El Paso and Van Horn, and I have to come down right down the middle because my first stop is Frisco, right?
Frisco,
That's
Texas. Yeah.
Frisco, northern suburb of Dallas. It's a wonderful little community. Uh, except for, if you bump off the road, if you're going someplace and you jump off the freeway and you realize you made the wrong turn and you got to get back on the freeway, it's a nightmare. So wow, you got to drive around like 5 miles to figure out how to get back on the freeway. Anyway, stopped to meet
Yeah.
this star. I stopped to meet this Gold Star mom in Frisco. And what it was, and I'm saying I made the comment about the highways because we're meeting for coffee and we're trying to meet at 8:30 in the morning. I'm on a motorcycle. So when she calls me or texts me, I have to stop the motorcycle and then look at my phone and put the phone
Yeah.
away. And I have to look at the maps and put the phone away and try to get wherever the maps told me to go. Anyway, we were supposed to meet at a coffee shop at 8:30. Turned out the coffee shop was inside some business office and we couldn't get in because we didn't have security clearance to get in the building. So we're looking for another place. Anyway, by the time we actually got a cup of coffee and sat down at the table, it was 9:20. It took 15 minutes. This was after we had met. We met in the parking lot. Oh, can't go here. Let's drive here. Let's drive here. Anyway, so here
Yeah.
we are. And then we sit at this coffee shop in Frisco that was extraordinarily patriotic. Military stuff all over all the walls. And this was totally by chance. And then we're about an hour into our conversation having coffee. We're just talking because that's what we do. We just talk. And this guy comes over to our table and he says, I couldn't help but overhear some of your stuff. I'm the commander of this American Legion post over here, and I'm the guy that does this. And I served for 20 years in the Marine Corps, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this. And I just wanted
Oh,
to come over
wow.
and express how sorry I am because you lost your son. That's why he introduced himself to this Gold Star mom. Then he sat down and he's talking to us for an hour. And while he's talking to us, and while this is all going on, she lost her son. He was killed in action, United States Marine Corps, in August of 2011. I forget the exact date. So forgive me for that. I forget the
Mhm.
exact date. But she about 2 hours into our conversation, more or less. And again, we don't have a script. We don't do anything um, for pomp or circumstance or ceremony, or we don't say the Pledge of Allegiance. We don't sing the national anthem. We sit down and we talk because we're human beings and that's what human beings do.
Yes.
And we just kind of carry it on. So we're 2 hours into this conversation. When out of the blue, she says, hey, I just got an idea. I'm going to give you guys my motorcycle. I said, you're going to
Oh,
give us your motorcycle?
wow.
She said, yeah, I got an extra motorcycle in the garage. I'm going to donate it to your charity. I want the charity to have the motorcycle. And I said, well, thank you. That's really awesome. Thank you very, very much. Now, on a side note, what's going through my head is we get about, 10 motorcycles donated to us a year. And the
Hmm.
rule is we sell them and put the money in the Gold Star Ride Foundation bank accounts, which go to
Yeah.
help, which all the money goes to help these families. Now we have overhead. I've got a cell phone someplace. I don't have it with me. We've got overhead that we have to take care of. We have maintenance and different things that we have to do. So we have some expenses. But I get to say last year because we're still in 2023, right?
Hmm.
So last year, in 2022, we managed 82.6% of all the money that came in went back out to the family.
Okay.
So if you want to wrap your head around that to give you a comparison, I think the Goodwill organization, Goodwill, you got a Goodwill store
Yeah.
down at the end of the block, right? I think they
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 to 20%.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Okay.
the Wounded Warrior Project gives back somewhere in the neighborhood of 6.5%.
Okay.
Folds of Honor is one of the better ones. They give away, or they give back somewhere in the neighborhood of 38%. Okay,
Wow.
so to give you something to compare to, I got no idea how many millions of dollars Goodwill brings in. Probably $1 billion a year, because that's a huge. I mean, they pay the CEO $650,000 a year for a salary. So there, and there's bonuses on top of that. Um, Folds of Honor brings in somewhere in the neighborhood of $45 million a year, and they give 38% of it back to the families that they're set up to help. Wounded Warrior Project brings in somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 million a year, and they give 6.5% of it, more or less, back to the families that they say that they're going to serve. Our organization, Gold Star Ride Foundation, in 2022 brought in $145,000, and we managed to give 82.5% of it back to the families that we
Oh,
serve.
wow. That is
So just
amazing.
so a lot of people hear me say that stat. They say 82.5%. Okay, great, but they don't know what that means. So if you have something to compare it to, it makes it a little bit
Yeah.
easier. Incidentally, I'm not just pulling these numbers out of the air. A quick little lesson for anybody who cares to hear it. If you do an internet search, I don't care what search engine you use, and you type in the name of an organization, Gold Star Ride Foundation, and then you add the words Form 990, what you get is their tax returns. And you can look at
Yeah.
their tax and see exactly what they're telling the IRS they're doing with their money. And this is the source of, if I tell you that 38 to 40% of the money from Folds of Honor went back to the families that they are there to support. Incidentally, 40% is extremely high.
Yeah.
2.5% is off the charts, but 40% is very high. Most organizations, what's the pink one in October?
The is the breast awareness?
Yeah,
No? Pink.
breast cancer awareness. You know
Yeah.
how much of the money they raise goes to their cause? About 8.5%. Eight and a half.
Gotcha.
All the rest of the money goes to the board of directors and the higher ups and the vacations and the vacation homes and the private jets and all kinds of stuff. All of it's completely legal. All of it's completely legitimate according to the IRS rules. They're not breaking any rules, but
Mm-hmm.
they're only 8% to breast cancer. So the rest of the money is going somewhere else. And Wounded Warrior, 6.5, 7% goes to, this is by their numbers, not mine. I'm not making them up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't, because it's too sickening. That Wounded Warrior Project in particular, allow me to use a little bit of adult language, pisses me off. You know why? Because I'm a
What?
wounded warrior. I am a wounded warrior. And I called him up and I said, I'm a wounded warrior. And they said, that's too bad. You're too old. We're not going to do anything.
What?
They told me I was
That,
too old. And this was 5 years ago. Anyway, they told me I was too old because Wounded Warrior Project is only willing to serve uh, uh, is only willing to serve people post 9/11. So anyway, and since I'm saying a few things matter of factly about that cast them in a bad light, I also need to cast them in a good light, because
mm-hmm.
I personally know people who, well, case in point was a guy named Adam. Adam, his home is in South Dakota, and I know people all over the country, so that's a wonderful little side effect of my business. But Adam lived in South Dakota, and he told me, he called me up, and we're talking on the phone. We're talking. It's not text, not email. We're talking. We're having a conversation. And he said, the Wounded Warrior Project has actually been pretty good for me. And I said, well, I haven't heard any good stories yet. So what's yours? And he says, well, first of all, I spent 17 years in the Air Force, and my knees blew out, and the doctors have said they can't do any more surgeries on my knees. They're just gone. I can't walk anymore. So I called up the Wounded Warrior Project, and they're going to put a ramp on my front door. I will get
Mm-hmm.
back to the Frisco story. I will.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll get back
Okay.
to it. But anyway, he said, so they built a ramp in the front of my house, and now they have reached out to me and they've asked me, because this was right at the end of his military time. He had done 17 years and he wanted to stay in, but they wouldn't let him. And he said to me, the Wounded Warrior Project has offered for me to receive my medical discharge papers from the commander in chief. And I said, wow, that's pretty spectacular. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've invited me to go to the White House and have President Trump, who was president at the time,
Hmm.
actually sign his discharge papers and hand them to me in the Oval Office. And I said,
Oh,
wow,
wow.
wow. So that's the Wounded Warrior Project pulled that off. And then we took it a step farther and he said, what should I wear?
A
Let's
suit.
sidestep. I can't speak about that particular organization. I don't know enough about it. But if you can get
Hmm.
him and tell his story, that'd be really awesome. But getting back to uh, Frisco, right?
Yeah.
Frisco,
Yeah.
Frisco.
Frisco, Texas.
Right. So she's going to donate her motorcycle to us. And I don't think what goes through my head is okay, we're going to keep it till spring and sell it. This was the first week in March. There's still 3 feet of snow on the ground in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to remember that. So even though we're talking in Texas where I'm riding my motorcycle, there's still 3 feet of snow on the ground up here in Minnesota. Anyway, relatively quickly, subject changes. We're talking about something else, and I'm not thinking about it again. Okay, when spring breaks, when the snow is gone, I'll come down here and get the motorcycle, and I'll ride it back home, and I won't think anything. I'll just put a for sale sign on it. That'll do that. It's wonderful that she would want to donate her motorcycle to our organization. Well, some
Yeah.
things came up. I decided to ride it to Dayton, Ohio first. So I flew down in, I think it was the second week in April. I could actually look it up and figure it all out, but
Mm.
the second week in April, I fly down there. By this point, we'd already done all the paperwork. She sent me the
Yeah.
title and all that. And I'm carrying the new license plate for the motorcycle. So I'm going to go down there, screw the license plate on it, and then I'm going to ride it to Dayton. Frisco, Texas.
Texas.
Yeah. To Dayton, Ohio is almost exactly 1,000 miles. Give or take three.
Okay.
Almost exactly
Okay.
about. Anyway, so I fly down there and I text her. She says she still works. She'll be home in an hour. I said, okay, great. And I looked up the Uber. If I take an Uber, I'll get to her house in an hour. So there we are. We both get there at the same time. And she said, I wish you would have let me pick you up at the airport. Never mind that. Let's take a look at the motorcycle. And we open up the garage door and I see the motorcycle for the first time. And I instantly said, I'm not selling this one. So here's the dealio. What happened is her son was killed in August of 2011, United States Marine Corps
Yeah.
killed in Afghanistan, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and she wanted to have a way to honor her son's memory into perpetuity, perhaps even beyond her own life. She wanted to be able to, people to remember this guy gave up his life for you,
Yes.
for all of you guys, not just you, but everybody
Yeah.
listening. Okay.
Yes.
That's kind of a big factor. These are people who gave up their life so you could be free. And I hate using the word freedom because freedom is an intellectual thing. What we're really
Hmm.
talking about is liberty. You're at liberty to go where you want to go, buy what you want to buy, work where you want to
Hmm.
work, homeless if you want to be homeless. All of those things that you have the liberty to do is because somebody gave up their life for you. Somebody, even those people who didn't, if we didn't have the military, we wouldn't exist, period. There's not
Yeah.
even, we can't even debate that. If we don't have the military, the United States doesn't exist. You can complain all you want about how the government is doing things, pro or con, but the truth is, without the military, we don't exist. We're all speaking German, or we're all speaking Russian, or we're all speaking Chinese, or we're all speaking whatever language takes us over. But if we don't, we
Hmm.
have to have the military. And this is somebody who not only signed his name on the dotted line in the military, this is somebody who stopped breathing so you could have your liberty. Whether you believe in the war or not doesn't matter. Fact is, he was there to do that, or she.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of she's. I tell you what, I have visited a lot of families where it was a female that went in the ground. A lot of families.
Wow.
So that there's no gender issues there. Um, anyway, what she had done was 2 years it took her to figure out how to do this, but she bought a brand new Harley Davidson switchback and she gave it to the artiste. And I call him an artiste because of what
Artiste.
it's what he did with paint on this motorcycle. He painted
Okay.
it red, and you can look through our Facebook page or our website, and you can see pictures of this thing. It's red, white, and blue, but it's not just red, white, and blue. He added shades of gray so it looks like the flag is waving, and not just a little gray here and
Cool.
a little there. He added multiple shades of gray. So this thing looks as real as a flag can look on the motorcycle. On the gas tank, there's a United States Marine Corps emblem on each side of the gas tank. And on the saddlebags on the back, there are 3 airbrushed images of this particular Marine. One when he was a toddler, one when he was a tween, I'll say, 12 years old,
Yeah.
or and one when he was in uniform. And one saddlebag has him in a dress uniform, the other one has him in camos, and they're different things. One side has him playing baseball, the other one has him playing football, that kind of neat little stuff. And I looked at this
Yeah.
motorcycle, and I just couldn't believe it. The detail. I often lovingly refer to this as a $5,000 motorcycle with a $15,000 paint job. It's just amazing. And then I got on it. She said, well, that's it. Bring it out, whatever. And I get on it to start it up. And I turn on the key and I look at the odometer. It only has 2,465 miles on it. It's
That's
10 years
good.
old. It's 2,000. What did I just say? 2,564 miles, something like that. Uh,
Yeah.
I it had 1,000 more miles on it when I got it to its destination the next day.
Yeah.
And it was just yeah, it's an amazing thing. We still have this motorcycle. We keep it trailered and locked up, and we take it out for shows and parades. And I will take it out next Saturday, 1 week from today. I will take it out to ride it in the procession for Stella's 105th birthday. Have I mentioned this
Good.
part in the recording yet? Anyway, Stella's,
You did, but still,
yeah,
you
I
jumped into the
edited.
story of the motorcycle, and then we're back. But that's okay. I love that. So
Yeah. Um, you know, I don't, I'm not watching the clock. How much time we got left?
you know
Because
what? You got as much time as you need. So
here's
I
the,
mean,
here's the truth of the story. Truth of the matter is, I wrote a book. We mentioned the
yeah.
book, didn't we? We already talked about the book. We already talked about 30 days to make sure my wife still loved me, and then she let me back in the house. We already talked about all that. And I can prove that I wrote it because A, my name is on it, and B, if you look at the pictures in the back, I'm in almost all of them.
Oh
So yeah,
wow.
this book. Anyway, this is a narrative. I tell you what, if you like the way I speak, if you're actually still listening, you haven't changed the channel yet. You like the way I speak, I write exactly the same way. Same kind of words. Anyway,
Good. That's a
that
good thing.
the book was written with all the stories of gold stars and all the stories of bad hotels and all the stories of motorcycle breakdowns and all the stories of bad weather. When I did that ride in 2018, every inch that I crossed South Carolina, yeah, it's South Carolina, every inch of that ride was in the rain. And that wasn't the
Oh
only
wow.
rain. That wasn't the only rain. I just didn't have I didn't even have a single foot of dry pavement when I was in South Carolina. As soon as
Oh
I hit the
wow.
Georgia state line, the clouds broke and road dried up. But anyway, those are the kind of stories that filled that book. That was after one ride. I've now done
One
50,
ride, and now you have all
now
these
done
others.
53. I've now done 53. I'll do 54 a week from today. Um, Imagine how many more stories I have.
You're gonna have a
Because
lot.
yeah, and so I'm going to tell you a couple of them right now. Let's get into some
Okay.
stories. Actually, actually, the stories I've told so far are not in the book. All
Well,
of them are
that's good. We
new.
got bonus material.
Bonus. Oh, it's all bonus material. I told you about the RV before we started, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You
Okay.
did.
Here's your teaser. All you guys that are out there in Radio Land listening, here's your teaser. There's an RV story that occurred yesterday, and you're going to have to watch for the sequel to get it because I'm not going to tell that story right now. I am. I will tell you the story, but it was back on the ride. This story is in the book. It's in there. But in the stories of the Gold Star mothers in
Mhm.
particular, I get an email one day. What did I tell you I wrote to get that book? average, 307 miles a day, 7 days a week for 8 solid weeks, right? Riding every single day. Incidentally, out of the first 14 days, I was broke down 8.
Oh, wow.
So actually, the average is significantly higher because there was 8 days where I didn't get to ride because I broke down. Not in a row. I rode the first day and that was great. I was broke down for most of the second day, but I made it across the UP of Michigan. And anyway, on and on.
Yeah.
We had breakdowns like every other day. We had I broke down in Wisconsin. I broke down in the UP of Michigan. I broke down in upstate New York by Buffalo. I broke down, and then I didn't break down again until I got to Savannah, Georgia. But all of those were within like 10 days.
Oh,
Actually,
wow.
I didn't break down again until I got to San Antonio, Texas. Um, so if you're playing along at home and you're trying to figure this out, I left Minneapolis, went across the UP of Michigan, down through Michigan, and hit Indiana and Ohio. And then I went around the Great Lakes and went up to Buffalo near Niagara Falls. Uh, and then I went around all of New England, zigzagged
Mm-hmm.
through all of New England, and I went down to, made it down to Florida. And then I went along the southern states and I hit Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. And then I went north and I hit Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Iowa, and then I crossed the Mississippi River. And then I went around the country on the west side of the Mississippi River in the same way. So it's clockwise around the country east of the Mississippi River, cross the Mississippi River, then clockwise around the country west of the Mississippi River. That's basically the route that I took. So I'm
Wow.
30, I was probably about 25 days into this ride. And this was summer, it
Mm-hmm.
was July and August, the hottest 2 months of the year for any part of the country. Um, and I hadn't even gotten to Arizona yet, where I passed out from heat exhaustion 3 times in 2 days,
Oh,
literally
wow.
on the ground from heat exhaustion, 2 times in 2 days. I should have known after it happens once, it happens the second and third time much, much quicker. And you need to have a recovery period, which usually is up to 2 to 3 days. But anyway,
Mm.
I was on a mission. I had things to do. And being on a mission with things to do will really change the way things happen. Anyway, on 25 days, I check into this cheesy ass hotel. And I say that because I always stayed in the worst place I could find, and preferably if I could get it donated. And there's all kinds of stories about what got donated,
Mm-hmm.
what didn't in the book. That's discovered um, with some longevity. Anyway, I get an email message that says, I heard about you on the internet. You need to stop and see my best friend. She's Gold Star Mom. That's all she said. She didn't say how she became a Gold Star Mom. She didn't say where she lived even. So here I am rolling down the road, and I'm not sure where I'm going or why I'm meeting this
Mm-hmm.
person. I just emailed her back and said, okay, set it up. Where she live? And then we started text messaging, and we thought, okay, I'll be there in 3 days. So down the road I go, and I'm meeting that person, that person, that person, and I had other families to meet in the same place as
Yeah.
this Gold Star Mom. So this is a story about the Gold Star Mom. Um, so when we finally get there, we're going to meet at a restaurant. We meet at the restaurant. There's a Gold Star brother, somebody who had lost
Okay.
his brother, and there's a Gold
Yeah.
Star guy there who lost his father. Um, so these are, and then the Gold Star Mom, and we're all sitting around. We put up this big buffet. There's like a dozen people there because they all brought friends. So there's a
Yeah.
dozen people, and we ordered our food, and and it's convivial little nattering. No, there's no pomp and circumstance, there's no ceremony, there's no pledge of allegiance, there's no Star Spangled Banner, there's no national anthem, there's none of that stuff. We just sit down and we talk, and we behave like real people having a real conversation, and we
Yeah.
let everything happen organically. And that's what we're doing. So we're talking
Mm-hmm.
amongst ourselves. We got a dozen people at the table. We're saying things like, those beans look pretty good. I should have got those instead of the onion rings. Or, um, how did you have your steak done? Mine's done a little bit too done, or something, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm making all this stuff up. I can't say anything bad about that restaurant. They treated us pretty good. Anyway, we're in the middle of the meal, right in the middle of the meal, and right to my immediate right is seated this Gold Star Mom. Across the table from me is the Gold Star brother, and down at that far end of the table down there is the Gold Star son. But the Gold Star Mom is seated right immediately to my right. And she puts her fork down. She puts both hands on the table beside her plate. both of them at the same time. And I just kind of caught this out of the corner of my eye because I'm still eating and stuff. She just puts both hands down and she said, I just don't understand. Out of the blue, I just don't understand why my son would take his own life. And I put my hand on
Mm.
top of it immediately. This
Mhm.
wasn't, it's all organic, right? So I put my hand on top
Yeah.
of her, I look her right in the eye, and I said to her, he didn't take his own life. That was a sniper's bullet from 7,000 miles away. And she immediately burst into tears. And everybody was crying. I think the waiter,
Yeah.
um, everybody kind of burst. It was the right thing to say at the right time to say it. I wish I was the first one to ever say such a thing, but I'm not. There's a country singer named Rocky Lynn. He was the first person I ever heard make that comment about one of the 22 a day. Um,
Hmm.
that sniper's bullet from 7,000 miles away. Anyway, everybody's crying. In what seemed like an hour and a half, which was probably 30 seconds, uh,
Mhm.
somebody somebody picked up a napkin, wiped their eye, and said, "Well, those beans look pretty good." And just like that, we're right back to talking about nonsensical things that don't mean anything to
Yeah.
anybody wants to talk about. An hour and a half later, we're hugging our goodbyes. Thank you so much for coming. I gotta go. Gotta swing my leg over the motorcycle and down the road I go. And I
Yeah.
go, uh, and I think I went about 400 miles, stopped to see another Gold Star family, spent another 400 miles, another Gold Star family, another this,
Yeah.
and this, and this, and this, and I'm 2,500 miles away from the Gold Star Mom. And it's 7 days later. And I stop into a hotel. I check into the hotel, and this is a crappy hotel. Did I tell you I usually stayed at the crappy hotels? This one was
Mm.
so crappy. Well, first of all, I got the room for free, so it was donated to the Gold Star Ride Foundation, so that was a bonus. But this hotel was first of all, it was a motel, not a hotel. So all the doors opened up into the parking lot, which was not paved, gravel parking lot.
Oh, oh boy.
And when I shut the door and locked the deadbolt and put the chain across, there was still a big enough gap for me to slide 4 fingers in between the door and the door jamb. So like creatures, I mean, it was big enough a gap for a rat to crawl into the room
Come
in the
in.
middle.
Yeah.
This, this is a slummy place. Anyway, it took a little work to get my computer to work with email. I have my laptop with me. I only do email on my laptop. Okay. Just so you know, if you want me to answer email on my telephone, I'm not going to do that. I just don't
Yeah.
do that. A little too old and I don't care. I'm not going to go there. I take care of email on my laptop computer. When I walk away from my laptop computer, it's because I have other things to do. Okay.
Yes.
So I get the laptop going. There's no Wi-Fi in the room. So I have to turn on my cell phone's hotspot, but it doesn't work in the room either. I have to put it on the motorcycle out in the parking lot. Okay, great. There I have a signal. My telephone's hotspot's working. I go back into the room and yay, I'm able to send and receive email messages on my laptop computer. And one of them comes in from the best friend of the Gold Star Mom 7 days ago. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
He didn't take his own life. It was a sniper's bullet from 7,000 miles away.
Yeah.
Single email, very short, right to the point, said, your visit here was the greatest thing that could have ever happened. Because later
Oh,
that day, she went home and tore up her own suicide note.
wow.
So
Yeah.
every now and then somebody will say to me, why do you do the crazy shit that you do? And I say, because there's one woman in the Midwest who's still alive today. I just talked to her 3 days ago. She's still alive today because she met me.
Yeah. That's very much true. People come into our lives at certain times to certain reasons, or, and we need them the most.
Anyway,
And
that's
it's,
of the
yeah,
story. Now we're up to 499 stories today, 500 in a week.
wow. That's a lot. I'm glad they're all
Um,
written down.
well, they're not all written down.
Not
Uh,
all, I know, but
every time I tell a story, whenever I write a story in a book, well, and I'm hoping someday that there will be a sequel and another sequel. Um, As a matter of fact, the name of the sequel is going to be Yours Too. The name of the book is Yours Very Sincerely and Respectfully. The sequel will be Yours Too, Too.
Okay.
Because the volume of stories, if I had enough stories for one book, I've got enough stories for at least 10. At
Oh,
least 10.
wow.
And I just told you um one of the better ones. That's pretty powerful that she tore up her own suicide note.
That's
Uh
a strong, that's very
but
good. Well,
let me
I'm happy that happened.
you know we
I
we
mean,
we get to do these things all the time. And I get to tell these stories. You're not the first person I got to tell this story to.
I
And I'm
know.
very grateful that you give me this forum, this platform that I get to tell these stories on. Um, but I want you to remind me once again, what's the name of this one? What's the basic,
Keep,
pre- what's the
keep
basic,
hope, keep
keep,
hope alive. Yeah,
keep,
it's to be heard.
keep.
Everybody needs to be heard in life, no matter what
All
happens.
right.
But
So
yeah.
tell you a little story of hope. I could tell you the story of hope of what happened to me in West Virginia. I could tell you the story of hope of Pennsylvania, New York, or Alabama, because all of them,
Pennsylvania. I'm feeling Pennsylvania here.
you're going to get New Mexico. You're going to
Mm,
Mexico because
okay.
I've told all of these stories, and there are wonderful, wonderful, and I've told all of the stories. The truth is, there are other podcasts that I've had the fortune of being on multiple times, so I get to tell all the story. Well, I get to tell more than one story. Um, and I'm looking forward to being on yours podcast
I
again.
want you again, but I want you as a photographer to take pictures of the 105th birthday. Like, I want to
Oh,
be there too.
we're gonna do all we can to take as many as I'm hoping to bring
Yeah.
somebody along who doesn't do anything but run my phone and make a movie of the whole thing, so I can
Oh,
pull
that would
out
be fun.
still
Yeah.
images and I'm hoping that I get somebody that can do that.
Mm.
Anywho, New Mexico. I mentioned earlier Frisco, Texas, and how I got to
Yeah.
Frisco. I rode from Jacksonville, Florida to um, San Diego and back. That started with a year ago this month. I bought that motorcycle. It's my new
Hmm.
motorcycle, only 12 years old. It's a new motorcycle. So
Yeah.
the reason I needed a new motorcycle is because my old one, which was 15 years old, when I was cruising down the road on that motorcycle in September of 2022, right? September 2022, I'm cruising down the road. I just spent a long weekend in western South Dakota, and I was on my way back to
Hmm.
Minneapolis. And I was 30 miles from the South Dakota state line, and I was 30 miles from the Iowa state line, but I was in Minnesota, in a little town, near a little town called Pipestone. And I came around a little curve, and I saw the lights of this town ahead of me. The town's only 2,000 people, and it's in the middle
Yeah.
of farmland, lots and lots of. So it's dark out there. You get out there, you can see the Milky Way.
Yeah.
Anyway, I come around this trees and stuff are blocking the view, and I come around and I see the lights of the town. It's 2 miles away, but I can see the lights. So now I'm excited because that's as far as I'm going today because it's nighttime now, and I've been on the motorcycle for more than 600 miles today. It's dark out. That's where I'm going. That's where the hotel is. I can't wait to get there. So I see the lights of the town and I crack open that throttle a little bit more to go a little faster because I can see it. It's right there. And I got up to 70 miles an hour and oh, I hit a deer.
A
And so
deer.
I just did that clap thing for effect because wanted to bring you around. Anyway, I hit a deer, and you hit a deer on a motorcycle at 70 miles an hour. The first thing is you're not supposed to live. Keep hope alive. I'm not supposed to be
Yeah.
here. Hit a deer at 70 miles an hour. And I didn't only hit a deer and total out the motorcycle. The motorcycle is completely gone, can't be repaired. But I didn't bother to lay the motorcycle down. I kept riding. I went from 70 to 20 that fast. And I'm pretty sure it cut the deer right in half. The only thing I saw with the deer was the rib cage coming in contact with the headlight. It was so dark. There was so
Oh,
much. All I saw, I'm not even positive it was a deer, but I'm pretty sure, based on size and color, I'm pretty sure because all I saw was a rib cage and a headlight. Boom. And so the short story is I'm not supposed to be here. I hit a deer at 70 miles an hour. I called up a buddy of mine in Indiana. You know, I got friends all over the country and I love that. That's the greatest thing in the world. Um,
Hmm.
I called up my friend in Maryland. I called up my friend in Maryland and I said, "Hey, dude, I need a little favor." He says, "What do you need?" And I said, "I'm honoring 100 for her 105th birthday, the oldest Gold Star mother in the country." That's awesome. What can I do? Her son died in Vietnam in 1969. And he said, "You want me to go to the wall?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to go. Would you please go to the wall and do a pencil sketch for me of his knee and send it to me?" You bet. I got it. It's upstairs now. I should have brought it down here so I could show it to everybody. Uh,
Uh, that's
anyway, I called my friend. I called my friend Head Dog. Called up Head Dog. Head Dog is that's his road name. My road name is Token Squid. His name is Head Dog. I called up Head Dog. Head Dog is a dear friend of mine, Air Force veteran. Does nothing but remember veterans and fallen heroes. I mean, it's just all about that. Anyway, I called up Head Dog and I said, "I hit a deer." He said, "You hit a deer?" I said, "Yeah." "At 70 miles an hour
hmm
and lived?" "Yeah." And there's a big pregnant pause there for a minute. And I'm talking to him on the phone, right? So, and then
yeah,
out of silence, he says, "How many Gold Star families have you met with?" I said, "About 450, because that's what the number was at the time, about
yeah,
450. He says, "I guess you got about 450 guardian angels, don't you?"
yeah,
"Yeah, keep the hope alive. I got 450 guardian angels, but you don't have to do what I do to get guardian angels." Okay. Everybody has at
yeah,
least one, right?
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so fast forward. Now I don't have that motorcycle anymore. I bought my new 12-year-old motorcycle in December, and in February I started riding for Gold Star families. Right. So I put on new
Okay.
tires, I checked this, I did that, got the motorcycle already. Now I'm out riding for Gold Star families. The last week in February of 2023, I take off on a motorcycle from Jacksonville Beach. Right. A week later, it's like the first or second day of March 2023. I'm headed back and I'm crossing. I just parted company with people in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm on my way back. And I went to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I met with a friend there, another veteran friend who loves to ride and this, that, and the other thing. And we rode together and
Hmm.
we together. We say, "Hey, keep up the good work." And there's pictures of us, on the website and on the Facebook
Yeah.
page. You can see pictures of us. Um, can't remember the name of the stupid town we went through. It's like pie, something pie. Pies are good, or anyway, Pie
Pies
Town.
are good.
Just Pie Town. You look and see if there's Pie Town, New Mexico, or Pie Town, Arizona. It had a really strange name like that. I got to
Mhm.
meet some Vietnam vets there too. Anyway, off we go. Off I go, and I'm crossing New Mexico on my way to Lubbock because I'm hoping to have a dinner meeting with the Gold Star family in Lubbock. Crossing New Mexico. And I don't know if you've ever crossed New Mexico on US Highway 60. It was US Highway 60, one lane going each direction.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Not a freeway, it's one lane going each direction. And I passed through, and I'm all by myself, and I'm tooling along at 75 miles an hour, more or less.
Yeah.
Sometimes 85. I mean, there's nobody out there but me, as far as the eye can see. Nobody out there but me. And my motorcycle throws a code. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what does throw a code mean? Well, there's a
Mm.
computer in a motorcycle, just like there's a computer in all
Yeah.
cars, and they've been there for 20 years. But there's a computer that monitors the functions of the engine on the
Yeah.
motorcycle. If you throw a code, it means that the computer thinks something's wrong. 9 times out of 10, when the computer thinks something's wrong, the thing that is wrong is the sensor that tells it something's wrong.
Yeah.
But so there's also a feature in motorcycles where when it throws a code, when it says, "Hey, something's going wrong with your engine," the computer says the motorcycle can only go 15 miles an hour. And the reason for that is so you can limp it home and fix it, or limp it to the repair shop and fix it.
Yeah.
That's why they call it limp mode. So here I am tooling down the road, crossing New Mexico, and the motorcycle throws a code and puts me into limp mode. I stop on the side of the road. I try to look up the code. Oh, there's a code. Okay, what is it on my phone? Oh, I got no service here. There's no service. And I stand up and I do one of these, right? And there's nothing man-made except the road I'm standing on, as far as I can see for 360 degrees.
Oh
No,
yeah.
nothing. It looks a lot like that picture that you're sitting in front of right now, as a matter of fact. Look
The
at
empty road,
the
sun
empty.
coming
That's
down.
what it looked like, exactly what it looked like. And I knew the last town that I had gone through was 25 miles behind me. And I knew that the next town, well, I had an idea that the next town in front of me that I was going to was still 50 miles away, 75 miles between towns.
Yeah.
I just love it when people tell me the earth is overpopulated. 75 miles with no people. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Send
Nothing.
them. I'm sorry. There. Start building. Let it grow.
Yeah. All you got to do is get rid of celebrities. And I know we're both trying to be celebrities, but if we got rid of celebrities, then nobody would want to be one. And if nobody wanted to be one, everybody would leave New York and leave LA and everything else would be fine.
Yeah. Why does it have to be those two states?
Because those are
You know?
those are the two cities where celebrities go. Celebrities go to New York City, celebrities go, or people who want to be celebrities go to they go to New York and LA to be waiters and waitresses. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, the goal is for them, their goal that they have in mind is to be a celebrity.
Wow.
That's how
I
you do
mean,
it.
I've been to LA and I went on Hollywood Boulevard and the fun part was I did one of those bus tours and it
Huh?
was just me and my camera. And we did a 2 hour bus tour. Now, I when I was younger, I started watching Young and the Restless and Bold and the Beautiful, but like it's
Oh,
just like I had my
you never watched
driver, but I
General Hospital?
no.
Oh, so you never got to see Rick Springfield
What's
before
his
he was
name?
a singer.
Damian Evans, who plays Danny Romalani on Young and the Restless. He was a singer, so get to see him back in the day.
Yes, talking about shifting off the topic.
Well,
Anyway,
hey,
so
I've
we'll
been to
discuss a
LA.
little bit. Let me get back to that barren road that's behind your head.
Okay.
I bet that picture is New Mexico. I bet that is US Highway 60 in New Mexico.
Well,
I
good
I
choice on my end then.
I think that is that picture because where else
Well,
could it be? You got mountains in the
I
far.
don't know. It's beautiful though.
It's a two-lane road with nothing anywhere around. I think that is a picture from US Highway 60 in New Mexico. That's my guess. And it's a
Okay.
sunset, so you're westbound. It's the camera's pointed to the west. And that's another thing is that highway is an east-west road. So it all plays. That's probably the road I was on, the one that's behind your head. All right,
Well,
so
good.
here I am dead in the water. I can go back to the town that's behind me 25 miles, but there's only
Uh-huh.
50 people that live in that little teeny tiny village. There's probably not going to be very much help there. So I chose to limp down the road without knowing what was wrong with the motorcycle. I limped down the road at 15 miles an hour. And this is kind of a long story, so I better speed it up. Anyway, 15 miles an hour. And I get to the next town, which was Fort Sumner or Fort Sumter, Sumner,
Yeah. Yeah.
whichever one Billy the Kid is buried in. Anyway, that's where I landed. I pull up to the gas station and my phone works. Yay. And I could go in and buy a bottle of water. Yay. Because it was warm. Even though it was first week in March, it was still, I think, 80 degrees there
Oh,
that
wow.
day.
Feels
Anyway,
good.
so I'm drinking a bottle of water and I'm looking around on my phone for some help. And I find a tow truck driver and I get him on the phone and he says, yeah, this is Alex, tow truck driver. Alex and I became friends. Um, anyway, he says, I'll give you a tow anywhere you want to go. I picked up that motorcycle, take it anywhere, but you're not going to get it fixed anywhere around here. I said, how far do I have to go to get it fixed? He said, you have two choices. You can go 100 miles south to Roswell, or you can go 175 miles east to Lubbock. And I said,
Oh boy.
my next Gold Star family's in Lubbock. Let's take the tow to Lubbock. And he
Yeah.
says, all right. And he pulls up, then we hang up the phone. He pulls up with his truck. And when he's standing in front of me, hi, Alex, how are you? I said to him, I said, Alex, a strange thing. I want to bring it to your attention. 2 blocks ago, the town is only 3 blocks long. I was 2 blocks into it, right? 2 blocks ago on the edge of town, I felt the back wheel hit a bump. But I'm only going 15 miles an hour. And I didn't see anything. I don't remember seeing anything. And I didn't hit anything. The front wheel didn't hit the bump. Just the back wheel kind of hit a bump. It was strange. It was a little bit odd. He says, well, let's take a look. And he laid down on a parking lot pavement, just laid down on pavement right there. And he reached just one hand around one of my saddlebags. And this is the new bike, right? The 12-year-old one.
Yeah.
The new bike. Anyway, he pulls his hand back down. He stands up, walks over to me, grabs my hand, puts these little teeny tiny black things in my hand. Little teeny tiny black. They look like little tiny black rocks. Little teeny tiny thing. I said, what the hell is that? He said, that's what's left of your rear wheel bearings. My rear wheel bearings. Okay, let me take
Okay.
just a second to wrap our head around what this means. What this means is the computer, the onboard computer, remember the onboard computer? It made me only go
Yeah.
15. The onboard computer is not monitoring the wheels. The onboard computer doesn't know anything about the bearings. Nothing.
Yeah.
And if the onboard computer doesn't slow me down, I'm going 85 miles an hour. If I'm going 85 miles an hour on those bearings, there would be a catastrophic failure with the rear wheel and the rear axle. The wheel would have fallen off. I would have been going 85 miles an hour. And when they found me, because I was all alone on that road, when they found me, they would have picked me up off the highway with a spatula.
Oh, wow.
Okay, wait. This story is we're just on the edge of the story. Okay.
Okay.
We load up the bike and off to Lubbock we go. And we're in a tow truck going 175 miles. Okay, 4 hours later, you get to know a guy in 4 hours because we're riding together in the truck now. And
Hmm.
we get to know each other. We get there, we unload the motorcycle at the Harley Davidson dealership because that's where you take a broken Harley Davidson. Actually, I need to give a little shout out. What the heck was the name of that place? Wild Wild West Harley, I think.
Okay.
Wild Wild West Harley. They paid for half the repair. They covered half, which was
Wow. Nice.
a huge donation to the Gold Star Ride Foundation, which you can do yourself at goldstarride.org. Anyway, we get there, and then he takes me another block and he drops me off at the hotel because I got to have a place to sleep. And now it's 11 o'clock at night, right? I was supposed to see the Gold Star family for dinner, but I'm not getting there till 11 o'clock at night. So, I'd been communicating with them. I said, we'll have coffee in the morning or we'll do something in the morning.
Yeah.
Anyway, before I get out of the truck, Alex says to me, remember Alex? We're good friends now. Alex
Yeah.
says, he says, I'm just going to donate this tow. So you're going to $3,000 tow, right? Because you got to tow them. I got to pay them
Whoa.
back. So it's 350 miles. Actually, probably more than $3,000 tow. But anyway, it was huge. Anyway, that was marvelous, magnificent. I can't say enough about Alex. If you're ever in Fort Sumner, call Alex and have him give you a tow whether you need it or not. Alex is a real,
Does he go to Oklahoma?
he will go to Oklahoma. That's
That's
the thing.
where my car likes to break down, is Oklahoma.
Yeah, he will take care of that for you. Anyway, next morning rolls around, the dealership calls me up, says, what are we doing with the bike? And I tell him, fix the new rear wheels or put in new rear wheel bearings. And I said, as long
Hmm.
as you're doing the rear ones, do the front ones too, or at least check them, make sure that they're solid, right? But if the rear ones are out, the front ones are probably out too. There's only two wheels on the motorcycle. They both have bearings. Anyway,
Yeah.
and I said, and fix the code. Whatever the code is, that's all I had to say. Fix the code. He
Yeah.
knew engine through a code, whatever. He'll fix that. I said, okay. He says, you got something to do for a while? I said, yeah, I got something to do. I got to go see this Gold Star family. So she picks me up at the hotel. The Gold Star mom picks me up at the hotel. And we go about our business and we do our unscripted fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. And we took pictures at the Veterans Memorial in Lubbock, Texas, which is a
Hmm. I
gorgeous
bet.
place. If you've never been there, go there. Just go there. And just
Okay.
go to Lubbock just so you can go see the Veterans Memorial. It's really well done. It's
Oh.
really spectacular. Her son has his name emblazoned in the wall. Everybody from everybody.
Hmm.
There were some Civil War fatalities. They got their names on there. There's some war. I don't think the War of 1812. There wasn't a Lubbock then. There might have been. I don't know.
Yeah.
we took care of all that stuff, and we had a nice little meeting. We had some coffee, and we did our stuff, and we took some pictures, and we took some videos, and we did our thing. And then she gave me a ride back to the Harley Davidson dealership. Nice. And we get there, motorcycle is sitting in the parking lot, and I thought that was a little weird. So I walked up to him and I went to the service manager, and I
Yeah.
said to him, "The bike's still sitting outside. What's up with that?" He said, "Oh yeah, it's done." I said, "It's done. That's pretty. I wasn't expecting for at least another day." Anyway, that's really great. That's awesome. I said, "What'd you do?" And he said, "Well, we put in new rear wheel bearings. Never seen any that were that bad before. They were just a mess. Wow, put in new rear wheel bearings. And we put in new front wheel bearings because we tested them out and you only had another 20 feet left on them anyway. So we put in new front wheel bearings." I said, "What else?" And he said, "You were missing a screw in a muffler." I said, "And?" "Well, we put the screw in the muffler." I said, "And?" He said, "And what?" I said, "And what else?" And he said, "And nothing." I said, "What about the code? Remember the code that made me go only 15 miles an hour?"
Yeah.
He said, "There was no code." I said, "What do you mean there was no code?" He said, "There was no code." I said, "The computer has a history, remembers the history. Did you check the computer's history?" "Yes, we did." "What was in the history?" "Nothing. There was no code." I got on that motorcycle and I have ridden it somewhere in the neighborhood of 22,000 miles since that day.
Oh,
And
wow.
that code has never come back.
Huh.
You want to talk
Wow.
about hope? You want to talk about guardian angels taking care of you? You know what? I was just telling that story and I knew what was coming and it made me shiver just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I got
Because
shivers. I was like, they're really watching you.
that one goes somewhere else. You know what? We can come up with 10 different reasons why I survived hitting a deer.
Yeah.
So 10 different man-made reasons why I survived
Yeah.
that. You can't come
Yeah.
up with a single man-made reason why that motorcycle threw a code and then the code disappeared.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
So
they don't have. So,
it's,
oh,
electrical.
can't wait to buy the book. Hear all these stories. That story's not in the book. That story just
Oh,
happened.
so yay, we got a story that's not in the book, but wow.
But there are a lot of stories. There are a lot of gold star stories. There's there's a story of guy's name was Tony. Uh, guy's name was Tony. He was in the Navy. He was a second class petty officer. Well,
Uh-huh.
so you can see my crow. That means
Yeah.
second. That means second class petty officer, United States Navy. Anyway, this guy's name was Tony. He was in the Navy, and he was killed. And one of his big deals was he liked to go fishing, and he liked to use a certain worm. And he was from North Carolina, I think. But anyway, I sat and met with his mom, and she told me the story though how she went to put flowers on his grave, and the very specific, very weird worms that he used. It was one kind of worm. It was like a green worm or something that
Okay.
he for bait when he went fishing. He had to have this, and it was like he had to do some work to hunt to get these special worms.
Yeah.
She went to put flowers on his grave and found 3 of those worms on his tombstone. Little stories like that all over the place. There's the guy in Florida who said he buried his son and he didn't have enough money to put a marker. Didn't have enough money for a tombstone. We took care of his tombstone. We met um, well, as a matter of fact, 2 days ago, I got an email from a college student in Central Florida. I think she goes to
Mhm.
Florida, the one with the football team that won the national championship in with um not no, it wasn't. Who was the guy who went to be the quarterback for Denver, and now he preaches all the time. Wherever he went to school, that's where she goes to school. I can't
Okay.
remember.
I'm just gonna leave it at that because I don't
Yeah.
know.
Interesting side note, when this guy was playing quarterback for this Florida college, he took a helmet to his thigh and he didn't think twice about it. He thought he had a nice little bruise. And he actually a little bit later in the game, actually ran 20 yards for a touchdown. And he found out after the game was over, had his leg x-rayed, turned out he broke his thigh bone and he played the game with a broken thigh bone. Um, the thing that made him famous was the doctors told his mother it was a difficult pregnancy and she should abort the child. And she said,
Uh-uh.
no, not going to abort the child. And then this is who he turned into, this college superstar who went on to play quarterback for the Denver Broncos. And I should be able to remember his name. If you said his name, I go, oh yeah, that's the guy.
Not
Anyway,
Elway.
come
Not
up.
John. Oh, no, it's
Oh, it was
college.
after Elway. It was after Elway. As a matter of fact, he sucked as a pro quarterback.
I'm not
Didn't
gonna
win.
say Drew Brees, but I don't know where Drew Brees.
No,
Oh,
Drew
no,
Brees was New Orleans. Um, anyway,
sorry, Drew Brees. Sorry, I'm not saying he sucks
oh,
or
reason I
anything,
came
but
up is because 2 days ago I got an email from a student at the same school. Anyway, she said her father was killed in 2004 in Iraq, and she ran into this, that, or the other thing. So, we're looking into her story, and we're planning to write her a couple of checks. This is what we do with the money.
yeah,
We had one in August. We had to pay rent. We paid 2 or 3 months rent for somebody who ran into hard times, and that was a Gold Star widow. She had lost her husband. Um, and that one was really weird because she lost her husband to cancer that was caused because of something he had to burn in Iraq. And then
yeah,
he got discharged and developed cancer after. They put the two together that the cancer was caused because he breathed the smoke from the fire that he had to start to destroy stuff in Iraq. Anyway, so he'd been out of the service for a while. But anyway, she needed help paying rent, so that's what we do. Um, that's kind of just what we do. We just kind of go around the country. One of the questions that we're asked is how do we choose the families? And a family like the one in Florida, they reach out to
mm-hmm,
us, right? Reached out to us 2 days ago. And okay, we got a big map on the wall. It's kind of an imaginary map because they do it all on the computer, but we got this big imaginary map and we put the pin in it. And we say, okay, we have a gold star in Central Florida and we need to get there. So how are we going to get there? Okay,
yeah,
wait a minute. We're in Minnesota. Wait, we got another one in Little Rock, Arkansas. And we got another one. We got another one in Montgomery, Alabama. Okay, now we're going to go from Minneapolis to wherever I said first to wherever I said second, and then we're going to get to
yeah,
Florida. And that's how we kind of put it together. And then we go on rides and we go do what we go do and we take care of who we take care of. And we do our best to make the life of the Gold Star family a teeny tiny bit brighter. And
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what we do.
Well, that is amazing. I mean, just learning everything you've done, and these families are getting the most support, and just being able to see you too,
Yeah, that was
it's a
one of the things
healing.
that we did when we first started it. There's another question that I get all the time. Hey, how'd you get started? Um, well, first I was born, and I went to public school. Anyway, um, yeah, that's one of the questions that we get asked an awful lot, and for us, it has become a labor of love. I
Yeah,
don't take a paycheck or anything. Um, so all of the money that comes in, whatever is humanly possible to go back out to the Gold Star families does. Um, and for my wife gets pissed at me a lot. Excuse my language, but I don't really know
that's
how
all
to
right.
soften. But the bottom line is, I tell her I got to go do this and this and this, and she looks at me and she says, "How long are you going to be gone this time?" Oh, just 5 days. I did make a promise to her that I would never ever do a 2 month trip like I did in 2018. That was the first one, and that's when we learned the most lessons. First thing we learned is when we did that trip, we were anticipating that we'd have 50 motorcycles riding with us around the country, and they would fall out when they needed to fall out, new ones would fall in. That didn't happen at all. At all.
Oh
I
boy.
had two motorcycles riding with me for the first 20 miles, and that was it. And then I was alone. Then I was alone. So
Hmm.
what we have decided to come to do now is, you know what, we're going to Central Florida. So we're going to go to Central Florida probably the first week in February. First
Hmm.
week, we're going to go to Central Florida. We're going to reach out to every American Legion, every VFW, every AMVETS, every Disabled American Veterans fraternal organization, because most of them have AMVET riders, American Legion riders,
Yeah.
VFW, and we're going to reach out to them and we're going to say, all right, well, this is the family we're going to go visit that's closest to this American Legion. So we'll meet everybody at this American Legion at noon, and then at 12:15, you follow me, and we bring the most motorcycles we've ever brought to see a family, to Gold Star family, was 116.
Oh, wow.
The fewest we've ever had was one. I showed up all by myself. And we've had a whole bunch of different ranges in between there. We've had 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. We've had
Mhm.
usually not very much more than that. I think we had one that was 30, and I think we had one that was 60. And then we had the big one that was 116. But
Oh, wow.
it doesn't matter to the Gold
Yeah.
Star. I mean, the truth of the matter is I've seen the difference. I've seen the
Yeah.
difference between 1 and 116, and 116 is better. Um, but 1 is not to be shunned. It's we can't say let's not go with just 1, because we've gone with just 1. It was just 1 when I met the woman who tore up her own suicide note. That was just 1.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there were more when we got there, but there was just 1 motorcycle. Um,
Yeah.
and so we get to do the best we get to do. And a lot of people like to tip their hat to me and thank me and say what you're doing is really wonderful and magical. And the truth of the matter is, I haven't quite figured out how to put this into words yet. Uh, but when I go to sleep at night, uh, a
I
lot of it's
know.
personal. A lot of it's personal.
Yeah.
I get to know. I get to personally feel it. And you know what? I met with 500 families. Next Saturday will be 500 families, and 500 people I made feel pretty good, awesome. You know what? I've been made to feel special 500 times. That's a good way to put it. And then just made that
Yeah.
up. But yeah, so there's something a little bit selfish about it.
Don't
And
feel that it's selfish, though.
a little bit, a little bit. There's,
No.
and I think we talked about it before, how I have to be a smartass. Because if I'm not a smartass and I'm not laughing, then I'm stuck in incredible depression. And I started talking about it in 2018, in the spring of 2018, when the letters and the phone calls and the emails started coming in of this person died, this person died, and this person died, and there was about 3 weeks where I didn't do anything except field phone calls and emails from people who
Yeah.
had somebody who lost a loved one, and we're getting ready to do this great big ride, and my wife came to me and she said, I don't know what you're doing, but you're not going to do it anymore, because
Whoa. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I
I'm
can
like,
see the
whoa. No,
bag.
no, no.
Yeah, she said I could see the bags forming under your eyes. Your hair is turning white. You can't do this. Your eyes are starting to get wrinkled and you're starting to get crow's feet and you're sad. And what happened to that smart ass that I met years ago? Um, all of that stuff is gone. And she pointed it out to me, and she was right to do so. And so I'm
I
aware of
hear
it
you.
now. I'm aware of it. If I got to deal with 15 sad people a day, it's really hard. One of the things that we took up is we don't go to sleep at night without watching at least 30 minutes of comedy on TV.
Mhm.
We just don't do it.
See, the
We have to have
laughing
that.
and yes,
And this
it's
is how
either
we teach.
TV for me or a reel because I need laughter and
Yeah,
I
and that's how we
found
keep hope alive. So we
y-
kind of have that in common. We gotta end the day. Okay, we're gonna end the day. We got to get some rest. We got to get some sleep. Let's end it with laughter.
you
Because if
see,
we end
yeah.
it with sadness, we're gonna wake up with sadness.
You see, and yeah, that's no way to go. I mean, for what you
That's
do,
what
and
we do.
then I see it with what I'm doing too, because I'm meeting people that have different skill sets and they want to share their story to help, and it's
Hmm.
keeping the hope alive, basically. But when I get these messages back from people like you, like I got a review from a lady this morning that I interviewed, and
Uh-huh.
I cried. I cried before this podcast. I was like, oh my gosh. But, just seeing the impact that this can do to help the world, it will help me sleep better at night, knowing that I was able to reach somebody out there.
Yeah, and
So,
it sounds so cliche when you hear people saying all the time, oh, if I just help one person, that's enough. And it sounds so cliche, it sounds like a lie. That can't
yeah,
be true. But you know what? Uh, I use as my motivation one person. One person
yeah,
that one person told me, and I don't know, there might be others whose suicides went a different direction because they met me. But I know that there's one. I know that there's one, and that one that has a huge impact. It's just
yeah,
one.
it
It's
does.
just one. What are there? 130 million people in the United States? That's just
Mm-hmm.
one. 130 million. It's huge. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Yeah, it really is.
really,
Well,
really I'm lucky I
this
get to.
was, yeah, I'm glad you were on our show and being able to share everything. This has been amazing. You're just the traveling, and there's so much spirituality with your story too that I love, and you're helping people, and you went through challenges and you keep going, and you have your books that are coming
Well,
out.
I was
So,
bringing this up because you just reminded me of a story that's in here. It's actually not a story, it's just a single line. And I would open it up and read it to you, but I can't remember exactly where it is in the book. But I was talking about the loneliness that I experienced because there was a spot in West Texas in 2018, back then, when I was
mhm.
preparing. There was a spot when I was set the cruise control on a motorcycle at 85 miles an hour, and I played a CD that was exactly an hour long. And during the entire length of that CD, I saw no other living creature. No cars passed me, didn't pass any cars, didn't see a snake, didn't see a armadillo, didn't see a porcupine, didn't see any rat run across the road, nothing. For an hour
The
at
open
85.
road.
Yeah, it was an open road like that one. It was
Hmm.
along, yeah, it was in South Texas. But so I'm writing about that in the book, and I wrote in there. I remember the line. You just reminded me of it, and the line was something along the course of, "I had a chance to talk to God, and not all of it was me yelling at him." So
Nice.
there's a line that's very, so sometimes I was able to, I mean, you get out there in the loneliness of the thing. And sometimes you get to have a conversation with God that's kind of like, two guys talking, two buddies,
Yeah,
just chewing the fat.
yeah.
It's not all about, please God, give me this. Please God, give me that. Please God,
Ex-
this, but please God, that. It's not all about that. And it's not all about gratitude. It's not all about thank you, God, for this or thank you, God, for that. Sometimes it's just two guys talking about how come there's no armadillos on this road. You know what I mean? So incidentally, if you get a chance to be lonely, take it. If you get a
Yeah,
chance,
I agree.
take it. Because yeah, I've been very, very fortunate to be able, because if you take it and you handle it, you learn how to handle it. And probably one of the single greatest things that all of the people of society have is they're not sure what to do with boredom, and they're not sure what to do with loneliness. Loneliness is very difficult. Um, I often say only lazy people are bored,
Mm-hmm.
because I've always got something to do. I've always got something to do. So only lazy people are bored. That's where that one comes from. But still, at the same time, you need to learn how to have an introspective. This is another way to keep hope alive. You got to be able to talk to yourself, and you got to be able to carry on a conversation with yourself that's not, who should we kill today? It's, you gotta be able to, you got to be able to have a conversation with yourself that says things like, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's all right.
Exactly.
it's all right to do stuff. I remember somebody, just a guy, and he worked for a living. Just a guy. He wasn't like a therapist, or he wasn't writing books, and he wasn't being mythological or anything like that. And he's just a guy doing work. We're actually working together, shoveling dirt. That's literally what we were doing at the time that the words came out of his mouth. And he said, you have to take Sunday off so that you can reflect on all the things you did Monday through Saturday. And again, it wasn't meant to be philosophical or anything. He wasn't
Yeah.
trying to, but that's what he said to me. And I remember he said it to me in 1977.
Oh, okay.
Uh, yeah, but it's always kind of stuck with me in such a fashion. You have to take Sunday off. Never mind what it says in the Bible. Never mind that it says sin to work on Sunday, or never mind all that other stuff. You have to take Sunday off so that you can reflect on what you've done. And that doesn't mean your 9 to 5 job. That doesn't mean what you do for a living. That doesn't mean
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't mean
agree.
shoveling snow or mowing the lawn. It doesn't, but it's a combination of all of those things. You have to be able to reflect. And because you take the time to reflect, it gives you an opportunity to recognize that some of it was pretty darn good.
Yeah, like there should be
Very
like a
darn
full
good.
movie about my
Yeah,
past week.
yeah, you got to think, you got to remember, oh, that conversation you had on Tuesday afternoon at work ended up being kind of a good thing, even if that's the one thing. But you gotta take time to reflect, and that is, I believe that is a really good cause for hope. Just
Yeah, it is.
that'll give it to you. That's how you make your own hope. God, did
Yeah,
I say that
I
off the
like
top of
that.
my head,
Making
didn't I?
your own hope. And that should
Yeah,
be a challenge, making your own hope.
yeah, and it starts with reflection. And it starts with
Yep.
taking the time to reflect. This is yeah, so you got to take the time to reflect, and you got to welcome times of boredom, and you really got to come to grips with lonely times. Um,
That's what I'm going through. And, I'm not gonna lie about that. I trying to stay away from the word, but why? Why, God? Why me? Why can't I
I'll give you
find
that answer.
huh?
You want the answer? You want the answer right now? I have the answer to that question.
No, I don't want to. I want to learn it. But, I've learned patience. I'm learning how to be alone and be happy with that. So, like
It
for
took me about
even
6 years to learn it. How much time do you want to spend? I
I will take as
could
long as needed.
tell you right now,
Hmm.
you just know.
Yeah.
Um, here's is no why. Your internet connection is not usable. Uh-oh. Well, it's
Oh,
back
I
on.
think that was
We may
on
have a
your
little
end.
hiccup in the
I was
screen right
just
there.
kind of,
But
sometimes
I think it was on
when
my
that
end too.
happens, yeah, it will just
So
say,
I'll just repeat what I just said.
okay,
There
okay.
is no why. And trying to figure out what why is will drive you insane.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no why.
I know.
Because life is unfair. I think we covered that before. I don't remember if it was on the
Yeah,
record.
yeah.
Life is unfair, and trying to answer the question why will drive you insane. So whatever the why is, let it go.
Yeah,
The
well,
question,
I
the
have,
question
I
doesn't need
have.
to be why. The question needs to be, what do I do with what I have to work with? And what am I capable of? And what am I not capable of? Because there are some things that you're not capable of.
I've
Now,
made
did you
new
know this is what
friends. I've
religion?
gotten rid of that why question and I've made new friends. They even invited me to a birthday party for next Friday. And instead of dwelling on me being alone, I'm more standing up for myself and who I am as a person. So, but I've become a better listener too. And I love that about me. So there's many things I'm happy about, but
Sure.
if I can sit and unwind and be by myself, I'm happy too. So,
There you go. All we need to do now is have another conversation about that telephone company that we started with. It was like,
lifeonrecord.com. Well, I do got to thank the rest of the sponsors that make Keep Hope Alive possible and running so smoothly and bringing hope to people. So I did mention we had lifeonrecord.com.
Org enough.
Yeah, and we have your book, and I'm going to be putting that on the website in our storefront so you
And the
can click onto his book.
and the my
Oh yeah,
DD2.
and the patch, the MBA's.
Yeah, those are available on the website also.
Okay, so we'll get that added on too. So yeah, definitely. And then I wanted to thank Bridal Shows Inc. And what they do, it's bridalthings.com. They host all the trade shows for the Dallas Fort Worth area for weddings or special events, corporate events. You can go and meet all these different vendors and learn their services and everything. Then we have Miles and Smiles Events.com. Deborah Rose, her background is investigation. She is a handwriting analysis and a lipstick reader, and she's so accurate. I've been to a couple of her events and she's phenomenal. Sometimes I just want to sit there with her.
Did
Huh?
you said a lipstick reader?
Lipstick reading, like you put the lipstick on and you kiss the piece of paper.
Oh, yes, I definitely needed further explanation on that one.
It's not put the lipstick on and kiss somebody, but kiss the paper. Well, maybe that would work, huh? I'll have to ask her about that.
No, I'm not a lipstick reader.
Well, she is, and I was surprised. I tend to be like, there's no way this is gonna work, but she was accurate 100%. Okay, our next one is going to be Bryce Harney, and it's brycemagic.com. He's a magician and mind mentalist. He's traveling all through the United States right now, doing his shows and everything. So if you want to book him, ah, you should do it. He is one of the best out there. So, and then we have richmondpunch.net. He graduated from the Juilliard. He's a violinist. He's played in front of a million people. He does travel across the United States to do gigs as well. So check him out. And then our last but least, TK Hair Salon in Plano, Texas. It is by Frisco, Texas. So when you are coming through, you can stop at TK Hair Salon. They do men's hair, women, the coloring, children's hair, everything. So
I'll
I want
remember
to
that the
thank
next time I'm in town because I get a haircut once a year, whether I need it or not.
once a year.
Yeah,
I
next time
learned like,
we're currently looking at April, I think, for our next trip through Texas.
yay, well, stop by. I mean, it's Allen area for me, but I'm so next to Frisco. So if you're going back to Frisco, let me know.
Well, when I come to Texas, it's Plano to Corpus Christi,
Oh,
and
Plano to Corpus,
Houston,
perfect.
and Houston
Plano's
to
my
El Paso.
hometown.
We kind of crisscross and go everywhere.
Okay, well, I'm gonna name drop here, Plano Sports Tavern. That was my like old blockbuster back in the day, but it's a Cheers to me. So, it's kind of in the heart of Plano, Texas. So, yeah, definitely. I would love to come out there and finally get to meet the person I'm interviewing. So, but definitely, if you have any questions for him, you can call 833-780-HOPE, which is 4673. And wherever you find your podcast, you will find Keep Hope Alive podcasts. I hope we made this a fun show and we learned a lot. I know I did.
I don't
It's
care if
like I
we
was
made it a
taking a
fun show or not. I had fun.
good. Yes, I I'm glad. And then we have New Year's. This is the time to make those new resolutions. Start your new journey. Have fun. So,
If you want to join me for Stella's birthday, 105 years old, oldest Gold Star mother in the country, probably in history, go to goldstarride.org, find the contact page, and send us a note. We'll figure out how to make sure you know exactly where it is and when it is. But
oh,
it's
that
going to
would
be
be
exciting.
awesome. She
Just 'cause
should have a board where everybody can wish her like a happy birthday. And you know what? You guys can even call that phone number and wish her a happy birthday. I will send that over to her or to you to
yeah,
send to
that'd be
her
great.
also.
Or you can
Yeah.
send her birthday greetings through, again, goldstarride.org.
Yes, Gold Star Foundation, Ride Foundation. I love it. And I love the logo and everything. And I do want to see pictures of the bike. So send that our way. I want to put them with your stuff. Uh,
A lot of those pictures are on goldstarride.org.
well,
If
then
you,
I'm gonna just take them.
yeah, you can just take them. Just take them. The logo, we're really happy with that logo too. That the logo, just like everything that we do, is a gift.
Yeah,
Everything, I know it sounds like a cliche and stuff, but yesterday the RV broke down, and within 2 minutes, a guy shows up and tows it 35 miles. Everything is a gift, and the story of our logo is not different. I
yeah,
had I had lunch with one of my wife's friends. My wife and I went to have lunch with her a school friend, somebody she's known for 35, 40 years. And she had just married an artist. And we're all just having a conversation. And I said,
yeah.
yeah, I wish I could get somebody to draw the front wheel of a motorcycle and somehow put a star in it. And he said, let me have a crack at it. That's what he gave me. 2 days later, this is what he gives me. And I'm blown away by it. I'm still blown away by it. Every time I look at it,
Yeah.
it's just like, it couldn't be more perfect. And it
Yeah,
was a gift.
it's very perfect.
It was
That
another
is
gift.
amazing work. That's really amazing. And I like how he got the wings and a little bit, it looks like the GNR come out of the circle as well. So
Did
as a
you,
photographer, I'm like picking that up
you got
with
the
my
what?
eyes going, huh?
You got
So
the what?
the wings will come out of the
Right.
circle a little bit, and then the R and the
Oh,
G.
I
I
see
like
what you
how
mean.
it does.
Yeah. Yeah, he did that. That's a freehand drawing.
Oh,
Okay. That's
wow.
not a,
You are so
he sat
lucky
down
on
with an
that.
easel and he drew that. And then he computerized it. But that's a freehand drawing. And if you
Very
look close
talented.
at the outer limits of the circle, that's a motorcycle chain.
Yes,
Oh,
I saw that.
and
Yeah,
it's a spark plug
definitely.
sticking up in the north, in the top part of the star. That's a spark plug sticking up. I mean, it just couldn't be more perfect.
That's
It
awesome.
couldn't be.
Yeah,
Anyway, I love it a lot. Thanks for bringing it up.
oh yeah, definitely. And I loved having you on the show and everything. So I hope we covered everything.
No way. We can do another 90 minutes next time.
Next time,
Got
definitely.
got some more stories. We've got some more Gold Star families we can talk about. We have there's a lot more stories. You know what the real magic would be if between now and the next time I just get an opportunity to sit down and write. And I can write
Yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah,
I have a lot of people encouraging me to write, and I thought about just taking a notebook and a pen out tonight, being by myself, listening to some music because the music is it goes to my soul. I
well,
love it. But
everybody
I
has a
want to
different
write.
everybody has a different way of doing it. For me, I
Yeah.
have to block out not just a day, not just an evening, not just an hour. I have to block out, okay, from February 1st to March 15th, this is all I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I have to work. And I can't do that because I have families to visit the first week, families to visit the second week. I got to get to Texas in March or April. I got to get to Arizona, and I got to do a ride in Florida. Yeah, it's just really, really difficult for me to block out the time. After the first ride, there might be somebody who's interested in this, but after the first ride, I was gone for 2 solid months, and I came home, and I came home and I did that. I was on the road for 56 days.
Mm,
56 days.
yeah.
It took me 43 days to write the book. But see, what happened there was I came home after 56 days on the road, and everything was so surreal. After living on
Yeah.
the road, just waking up and making a cup of coffee was weird. It was just, all right, wait a minute. I need to get back on the motorcycle. Well, no, I don't need to get back. Everything was just so weird after spending that much time on the motorcycle. That's 18,000 miles in 2 months. Um,
Wow.
Most motorcyclists consider themselves lucky if they get 10,000 miles a year. I had 18,000 miles in 2 months. I had 25,000 miles a year. I've done 25,000 miles a year for 5 years in a row. Um, so, but after that long one, everything was so surreal. Just walking through, sitting down, petting the dog. It was weird to pet the dog. Um,
Yep.
so, so to take 43 days and write the book, or to take the next period of time, and I just said, this is what I'm going to do while I'm still figuring out while things are weird, and it was still fresh in my memory, um, because everything is weird, and this is what I'm going to do to bring things back to normal. And about, 2 months later, after I had the book written and edited and designed the cover and all that other crazy stuff that went into writing the book, I kind of felt normal again. So
Yeah.
it's I'm really glad that it's been as successful as it has been, because the book has actually been quite successful. All the money goes back to the foundation, of course. I don't get anything for it, but um, for a guy who's never been a bestseller to have a book that sold, what are we up to? Somewhere in the neighborhood of 7,500 copies, and in 2 years, that's that's not nothing. We're not a bestseller, but we're moving in the right direction. People are still buying it. So, and
Yeah, and that's what it's about. Like people
I'm
for
still waiting for the
podcasts.
negative reviews.
No, there should be
Still waiting for
none.
'em. I'm still waiting for them. I get a lot of positive reviews. I had one guy talk to me a week ago, or no, a week ago. It's about 3 weeks ago. Sent me a text message on my phone, and he said, "I've been reading your book, and I had to put it down. Too much of it is too close to me, because I ride motorcycles. My father rode motorcycles. I served in the Navy. My father served in the Army, and I can't do it. It's too much for me to consume. So I have to read 10 pages and put it down because it's too close to home." And I've had other people who wrote to me, and they said, "I got your book a year ago. I didn't start reading it till a week ago. And once I started, I couldn't stop until it was over." So, but both of those are compliments. You know what I mean?
They are. They are.
But they're the opposite. And I I'm filled with joy with the people who are pleased with the work that I've been able to do. I've been, it's like I said
Yeah.
earlier, if you like the way I talk, I write pretty much the
That's how
same
you
way.
write. Yeah.
Yeah. I write pretty much the same. The words are pretty much the same. So you like the way I talk, you got to get the book, and then imagine me talking to you, telling you the
And
story.
reading it. Yeah.
Yeah, while you're reading it.
That's exactly
It's-
it. Definitely. Oh my
My wife
gosh.
and I are in a really good place now, and and I call her my wife. We're not really married, but I call her my wife. Um, she's referred to as MSL in the book, my special lady. So she's
Oh,
whenever you see the initials MSL, that's who I'm talking about. And we get along really, really well right now. So when you read chapter 8 and you see those 6 pages of arguments,
hmm.
no good things came out in the end. Um,
That's the truth.
yeah, and that was another part of the deal, is I wanted to write the truth. I
Yeah.
wanted it as I wanted to get it as close to a story that was accurate to the actual events as what really happened, but I didn't want to write a diary. So you're not going to get a diary. I mean, I should have been talking about the book at the beginning, right? I didn't write diary entries. It doesn't say day one, got on the motorcycle. Day
Yeah.
two, back on the motorcycle. It's not like that at all. Instead, what we have is a chapter about forming the foundation. We have a chapter about beautiful mountains. We have a chapter about riding in bad weather. We have a chapter that's all about the bad hotels that we stayed at. A chapter about all breakdown. And so we made it something that's interesting we tried to make it something that's interesting to read, and we sprinkled
Yeah.
the stories of the Gold Star families throughout. Um, well, the first Gold Star family doesn't happen, I think, until chapter 3, but
Okay.
um, that's the way I wanted the story to come across. I didn't want to give everybody a diary. That's
Yeah.
diaries are boring. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, you can get a copy of the book and start with the last chapter and read it, and then read the second chapter, and you won't miss anything.
You won't miss anything. I love it.
Necessarily. Necessarily. I would prefer it if you started at the beginning and read to the end, because there's kind of a flow. However, you don't need to have read the first chapter in order to read the last chapter. The last chapter will
Yeah.
still.
Yeah, yeah. I always think about what is my first chapter gonna be like, and what's my first sentence gonna be? And it's gonna be me, the real me talking. There's no
Yeah.
edited version on that.
As,
So,
as an ironic coincidence to that, just last night, my wife and I were watching a little TV and a commercial came on for another movie that was available for us to watch. And it was
mhm.
A Tale of Two Cities. I don't know if you're I don't know how familiar you are with this story, but you should be. It was required reading for me when I was in high school. Um, but what I told to my wife was A Tale of Two Cities is the only book that I know the opening line and the last line of the book. I know them by heart, and I only read the book once.
Huh.
And you probably know the opening line too. You just don't know
Well,
that you know the opening line.
I
The
don't
opening
know that
line,
I know.
yeah, the opening line in A Tale of Two Cities is it was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah.
Of course, you've heard that. That's the opening line in that book. And the closing line, which you may also know from other examples of it, of people using it, the closing line is, "'Tis a far better thing that I do than I have ever done before."
Now, I haven't heard that, but that I like that.
It's ended. It's that's a God, I don't even know what year it was written. The movie that saw was from 1934. So the book has got to be at least 150 years old. But it's back. It's in the that huge element of I don't even know who the author is. I should know who the author is. But
Yeah.
it's along the lines of um, the Three Musketeers or the Count of Monte Cristo. It was that era, or
Monte
shortly
Cristo.
there, or shortly after that era.
Yeah,
That
I
it was.
gotcha.
Yeah,
That's
but
really, really
it's
cool.
it's a story of it's a love story, aren't they all? Everything is a love story. It's a love story about two people who fell in love who were not supposed to fall in love. Duh, Romeo and Juliet.
Mhm.
When England and France were at war with each other. The two cities are London and Paris. So a
Yeah.
tale of London and Paris, and they're at war. And this is about two people who fall in love and what happens in it. And it's actually an intensely good story.
Huh.
It's a page turn. It's it's the good stuff. It's really, really the good stuff.
I'm gonna
So
have
I
to see it.
I recommend two books today. I recommend yours very sincerely and respectfully, and A Tale of Two Cities.
A Tale of Two Cities. Remember that, guys. We'll bring
You know,
them back
even
and
I came into this interview. I didn't even bring my phone with me. My phone is in another room. I got nothing here, so I can't
I
Google it.
always put my phone down. I don't want to look at it. I always take my Apple Watch off because it's going off all the time. So no distractions except my doggies knocking on the door right now, like, Mom, it's time to eat. But
I get that. I
I
got
had
upstairs that are scratching at the floor, going, "Get up here! Get out of that studio! You got to go outside."
yeah, so well, it was such a pleasure talking to you. I had a lot of fun.
Well, I'm glad. Thank you very much for having me on.
Well,
It's
and
been my pleasure,
until
part of your show.
Right. Well, thank you. So, until next time, guys, wherever you find your podcast, you can find Keep Hope Alive podcast. I hope everybody has a safe, happy new year since we're what, like almost a couple days away from it. So, but you guys be safe, bring in the new, learn from the old, and then set it loose. But anyways, love and lights, everybody. Mwah! Until next time.